I like to kind of portray what the lyrics are. So if there's like thinking or clouds or a planet or sky, I'll like I'm in theater, I'll try to act out a little bit with the vocals. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out sometimes. I feel awkward. Okay, the first time I ever heard extreme vocal was actually when I was, I want to say 10 or 11. And my mom came in my room and she's like, I heard this band on the radio and I feel like you would like them. And it was actually Stupefied by Disturbed. And I was like, whoa, that's really cool. And then I met a friend later in my teenage years that introduced me to Census Fail and I Did Remember, and I was like pretty much hooked after that. It's a deep rabbit hole to go down. So I had heard a lot of AC/DC and like 70s disco before anything heavy came into my life. But so I was like I was around music all the time. I was around singing in school. My parents spun vinyl on the regular, but it wasn't until I heard like probably Disturbed when I was 11 that I was like, oh man, there's some like darker, heavier, gritty stuff out there. And I was a pretty high active, intense kid. I was playing sports, so like that kind of energy was like my vibe for sure. So I was kind of hooked after that. I think I was about 20. I say it's 2010. I wanted to get into music, but I play guitar poorly, but I wanted to try something else. So I think I was just listening to bands at the time in the car, trying to literally mimic the sounds I was hearing out of their throats. It sounds crazy to say, but yeah, I was like, how do they make that tone? Is it coming from here? Is it coming from here? And I kind of just played around until I found out where it was. And then over time, kind of just clicked. I was listening to a lot of like strong mid-range vocals at the time. It was like Bury Your Dead, The Ghost Inside, some Killswitch Engage in there. This is probably like 2010, 2011 now. And then one day I was like, wow, I think I can do this. Kept at it, and then I started doing vocal covers on YouTube. And then 2 years later, I got picked up by a band, and now I'm touring. I did over 200 covers in 2 years, and I did it with like a little Toshiba camera that I found at BJ's Wholesale, which is like a local Costco to the East Coast. Two of them remain. There's a Counterparts cover. And a, I think Comeback Kid cover up still, just as like a reference. It might be the Chariot actually. I'd have to look. But at the time, it was recommended that they be taken down because the band I joined didn't want me to be seen as the cover guy. They wanted me to be seen as the new vocalist, which I get. But in retrospect, even 10 years later, people were like, I remember your YouTube covers. I'm like, yep, those were the good old days. Less pressure back then, more fun. So I would go down to the basement, and my mom kind of knew what I was doing, but she wasn't never really present. But then the neighbors came by and were like, is your son going to do this all the time? So I had to like block out specific hours of the day. So I had to come home from work and immediately go down there and practice and record a video. But they didn't really care. My dad was at work, and my mom, she didn't mind. She was like, as long as you're still in school and working, if this is your hobby, that's fine. I guess for my technique, much like being an athlete, you have to give it time to rest. If you do it when you're sick or if it feels weird, you should definitely stop. It's definitely something you have to train with time, and you have to give it rest. You have to be hydrated. You have to have great sleep. A runner's not going to go for a marathon with sprained ankles, so you shouldn't be screaming with the sore throat or bronchitis, even though sometimes we still have to do that on tour. We don't really have a choice, but you kind of make do. Mid-range kind of came easy because my technique is kind of based off my speaking voice, so it definitely took time to, like, if the meter of vocals is here, the stuff on these sides, like the lowers and the highs, that definitely took some range. It's kind of like, kind of like fine tuning and fine crafting any activity that involves your body. Even to this day, there's still little things that I'm picking up and learning and improving, which is nice. I'm trying to put a ceiling on anything, Always room for improvement. Touring is different from being in the studio. Like in the studio, you can exert everything, rest. on stage you have to like develop a secondary technique or like different habits to make it through 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. You can't just rely on the same exact thing you do in the studio. Some can if you have specific techniques, but for mine, it's a very physical, full body technique. So, I'm doing an hour of cardio up there, and I'm hungry by the time I'm done. First tour vocals were pretty tough. I was not broken in. I had to definitely develop like a baseline foundation of how much to exert myself early, what felt right, what type of like pressure I need to put in the voice to get the tone I was looking for, but also retain, my body for the time of the set. It definitely took a long time. I would say like, 2 years before even touring just to build the foundation of my tone and my range, and then another year or two just to figure out how to be a touring vocalist. It's like a whole different animal. Enunciation is literally my number one priority in my technique. I listened to a lot of hardcore and mid-range vocalists growing up, so when I was learning my technique, I was like, I want the lyrics to be the most audible they can be while still remaining the intensity and grit that I'm looking for in vocals. So that was definitely something that I focused on heavily, right, even till now. But yeah, it definitely took time. There's definitely some words, and especially when you're writing, you can kind of know what consonants you can and can't connect, or like how to end a sentence. So when you open up, it doesn't feel like you're doing this with your voice, Should we run that back? All right, so I have a hybrid. I do this. I use my finger to keep my mouth not too close but not too far. So it's like this, but I don't do a full cup. Sorry for the camera guy. Full cup bad. Half cup okay, but yes, it does change the tonality of your mic and what it sounds like front of house, and your sound guy will probably still be mad at you, but do whatever the hell you want, I guess. So I do, for arm positioning when you scream, you can do this, you can do these. If you're in 100th, you can wrap the cord around your neck and then re-grab the mic. That one's crazy. I think Jason from Let Live did that too. I think there's a bunch of them. I think Spencer from Under Oath has a specific one. There's a lot of these, There's like a bunch of different techniques. It's hard to like not copy somebody else and try to make your own because there's only so much you can do with a mic and a cable. But I think the arm positioning behind their back is not something that I do. I've definitely seen Jesse from Misery Signals do that. I do a lot of theatrical stuff. I don't know. I like to kind of portray what the lyrics are. So if there's like thinking or clouds or a planet or sky, I'll like I'm in theater, I'll try to act out a little bit with the vocals. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out sometimes. I feel awkward. Pre-show rituals, lots of sleep and hydration. I usually actually take a nap before the set. Not too close to it. No food before at least 2 or 3 hours. But yeah, the biggest thing, much like anything else, is sleep and rest. Since my technique is based off my speaking voice, I try not to yap too much during the day. And if I do, I try to take some time beforehand. Your body usually tell you how the show's going to go before you even get up there, which is nice. Being sick on tour is something really, really hard to overcome, especially if you're stubborn and you don't want to give up on a show or take a day off. If you're a headliner, sometimes there's nothing you can do, and maybe you have to take a day off if it's really bad. But as a screamer, you can kind of get away with it because you can kind of dial back your voice or have the front of house engineer add more distortion or grit to kind of allow you to make it through the set. Or you can cheat a couple lines, pass it to the crowd, make sure they know the lyrics. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta like make it work, even if you think you sound terrible. The show must go on, and I've definitely put my body and my voice on the line for times I probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah, pacing is tough. I sometimes catch myself getting way too excited for certain days. Today was kind of one of them. I saw the crowd out there, people showed up, I was like, let's go hard. And then by song 2, I was like, that was too hard. I know I'm tired. Especially if you're singing. For me, singing takes some serious breath control, especially getting on those notes. So if I know I have a tough singing part coming up, I need to go easy until that part happens, and then I can just kind of let loose. But But yeah, I mean, knowing when to breathe is huge. I definitely write in the studio now for future songs with breathing on stage and shows in mind. That definitely has helped me out. But if I go back and play older songs, they're just like a wall of lyrics and noise and vocals. Man, I'm getting worked up there. Oh man, something a vocalist should never do before going on stage. Inhale screaming is really bad for you. Probably don't do that. Honestly, anything that's gonna hurt yourself or damage your voice, don't do anything too foolish. Contrary to popular belief, I was told whiskey is actually good for your voice. So if you wanna take a shot, maybe it's mostly for the nerves, I don't know. But yeah, no milk probably before the set. That'd probably be good. Yeah, just make sure you're hydrated and rested, and that's probably it. I've heard clear liquor is bad, but like that the thicker syrupier stuff is what's recommended, like a Tennessee honey or whiskey or something. I don't know. Fireball was one of my friends' go-to. Now I can't even smell it. Yeah, no Fireball for me.